Welcome to Fix and Fly, the business podcast, which identifies common business issues for you to watch out for in your day-to-day business life. So tune in every fortnight where we speak to leaders of corporates to SMEs where you can implement their strategies into your business. I'm your host, Larissa Logan from Fixity, where we help turn businesses around. Hi Tui, thank you so much for joining me on the Fix and Fly podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So for our listeners, can you please share a little bit about your journey around what you do at ANZ and supporting New Zealand Māori businesses?
Absolutely. So I suppose my journey in banking started fresh out of high school. I was 18 years old and started at the National Bank. Did a quick stint over with the National Australia Bank for about 6 months and then came back and ANZ had brought the National Bank, so moved into working at ANZ here in Aotearoa. So worked throughout our retail side, our wealth side, commercial side and business side, and now incredibly blessed to have the responsibility of a one-of-a-kind role called Te Kaiwhiringa Whairawa at ANZ, which is supporting Pākehī Māori, Māori businesses, supporting iwi, hapu, ahu whenua trust, Māori land trusts, and ultimately just whānau who are keen to look into the business space.
That's amazing, and I think with Māori businesses generating, they've got $30 billion, to GDP, which is 9% of our GDP each year. It's really important, I think, for our banks to be focusing on this sector. And one of the key things I'd be keen to hear about is just kind of some of the challenges you're seeing in the sector and some of the cool things that our Māori businesses are doing.
There's so many cool things. Yesterday, I was privileged to attend our ANZ Māori Investor Forum, which is a whole day event hosted by David Harrison, our Head of Māori Relationships up here in Tāmaki, which brings together iwi leaders, Māori entity leaders, just incredible people that are doing amazing things for our whānau. And so there's so many exciting things happening. I suppose looking at Te Ohanga Māori, the Māori economy report, just the most recent one, 2023, touched on the Māori contribution to GDP, which is massive, and that in itself is exciting. I suppose yesterday I was a bit of a fangirl yesterday, bumping into Shah Amna, who was at the Investor Forum, who is part of Burl that put together the 2023 report. And I think too, like if I think back to the 2018 report, I don't think anyone really forecasted out that much of a increase, which I think is really exciting. And if we think of 2023 and already we're in financial year 26 already, and just how much Māori have grown, how well iwi have done. And if you look at the stats within that report and how well iwi have done, even during a really tough period, they've actually come out better than many of our commercial customers or our companies, our bigger companies here in New Zealand, which I suppose lays the solid foundation for then the iwi, hapu, trust whānau, smaller Pākehī Māori to grow off of that.
What are the key drivers of that growth?
Oh gosh, I think it's been different to the 2018 report. Some of the key drivers have been our smaller wahine-led businesses, an area that I'm really passionate about.
Same here.
And so just being able to read through some of those stats and seeing some of the smaller businesses, some of the key drivers I think to education, we're seeing a lot more Māori in highly skilled paid jobs versus lower skilled paid jobs. And I think the driver to that is education, which is really exciting. And because the flow-on effect to that then is that these educated whānau are then able to go out and help their hapori, their communities. They're able to serve on their Māori land trusts or their marae committees. And that flow-on effect to the wider community, not just themselves and their own whare, is amazing. It's massive.
So are we seeing any shifts in the historical investment with iwis into like land and farming and all of that type of stuff into different sectors like, technology, for example?
Absolutely. I think there's a massive shift, especially with our rangatahi and the things that they're studying and the areas or the industries that they'll push out to. There's a massive focus on AI at the moment, which is so interesting, so fascinating, but also trying to understand how that fits into our tikanga and our values and how that works for us and how we can make, really positive decisions and use this amazing technology, but also protect, some of the sacred parts of our culture too.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So AI is something really close to my heart at the moment. So I'm in the middle of starting up a fintech company.
Amazing.
Just recently been on an accelerator, just got into the top 5 at startup week next week, trying to pitch for funding. And I think we're going through some of the largest technological change in my lifetime, to be honest. And I think it's really great to hear that these Māori businesses and the iwis are getting on board with that, because it's going to create so many more value-add jobs for people.
Absolutely. And I think of my own tamariki and the things that they want to study, and that's really exciting, And so to hear, amazing, congratulations. That's super cool. And so I think, the more we can understand and learn and play our part, then the better it is for the future. It's definitely an area I think that, and by default, we can't control what comes up into the future, and we just have to effectively embrace it. But how can we learn to really manage it in a way that's safe and that's going to benefit whānau as well?
Yeah. And talking about the future, one of the things I love about Māori investment is it's not looking at the short 2 to 3 year term, it's looking at generational. And there's something in that, right? Because
Absolutely.
we just have to look at these treaty settlements and how the likes of, whether it's Tainui or one of the other larger ones, how they've turned their settlements into these, Tainui's $200 billion of assets.
Absolutely. And that's, a collective effort of incredible people coming together to diversify a portfolio. We're seeing a lot of that. We can see that a lot of those iwi that have done really well is due to the diversification of their portfolio.
What are some of the businesses that they're operating in?
Oh gosh, it's all sorts. It could be commercial property, farming, forestry, the social aspect side. It's a variety, and also starting to look at that technology side as well.
Yeah, I know my iwi, Ngāruahine, they are doing really cool things in the community, like building an infrastructure, building hospitality businesses, creating jobs. And it's really cool to see the use of those resources being used in that way to actually improve outcomes.
Absolutely, and those outcomes are intergenerational too. Like they, even down to scholarships and grants for study. It's those things that will support families and whānau and the future generations yet to come that will impact there as well.
So out of your hui yesterday, are there any other insights you can share with us around what the next 5 to 10 years looks like for the Māori economy?
Oh gosh, it's absolutely exciting and incredibly grateful to have just been a fly on the wall to sit there and listen to a lot of the insights and ideas. Mainly for me, like one of the things that I really loved to hear and see was the whanaungatanga that happened, so connections being made, and all for kotahitanga and being able to work together and lean in on each other. I think the next 5 to 10 years is going to be incredibly interesting in the technology space. And just that shift, like you mentioned earlier, as to what will look like and how technology will impact our daily lives. I still remember when smartphones or cell phones became a thing and how that just changed everything. And now we're seeing another shift and another massive growth phase in that technology space. So I think, for Pākehā Māori, for businesses, being able to keep that on their radar and forward think to how they might be able to use some of that technology to better, for the betterment of their businesses would be a positive thing. Otherwise, it's one of those things we just get left behind,
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to get on board. Māori have a huge focus on infrastructure. What are the opportunities that you're seeing?
One of the main themes that came out of our Māori Investor Forum yesterday was around technology and AI and the requirement for data centres which are needed to then support the enhancement of technology and AI here in Aotearoa. And so the discussion went along the lines of roles that Māori could play in that space and the whenua that we operate from potentially being available to actually hold these data centres, which is really exciting. I suppose that's an area futuristically that we could sort of look towards, knowing that that's the way technology is going.
Yeah, that's a huge investment. I've met a couple of people over the last 6 months with my own tech journey who are building these data centres. And it's amazing, right? And I understand very little around the whole concept, but it's, the security, the costs, 400 million, I think it sounds like, your rough back of the envelope calculation to build. Yeah,
it's massive, and the numbers that were thrown out there were all sorts of different like different options and how that might look. But I definitely think that there's a role that Māori could play in that space and the whenua that we operate from to better support as well.
Yeah, I think that's really great. So one of the other things I wanted to have a chat with you around is conservatism and whether investments sometimes are too conservative by, Māori-led businesses. I understand there's a large sum of cash sitting in term deposits, which could potentially be better used in other areas of the economy, investments, etc. What's your view on that?
I think, in Te Ao Māori, anything that we do is for the people, it's for our whānau, often inherited by our tipuna, and the responsibility that we have to be kaitiaki over, whether it's a iwi space, a hapu space, a huwhenua trust space, the responsibility that we have to leave it in a position for the betterment of future generations. And so I think that conservativeship may come in a little bit in regards to not wanting to take too much of a risk and lose what we have inherited, or even not allow our future generations to be able to make those same decisions. But what I do see in the exciting part is that a lot of our rangatahi are branching out into different areas of study, different industries, and so being able to come together, I think it's exciting that they, in the future, will be able to make a little bit more calculated risks in regards to investments than we may have previously historically seen or currently see. And so I think it's about a confidence thing, an education thing, and also trying to keep that, keep those values, keep that tikanga when we are making decisions in regards to investments.
That's the core essence for me of sustainability, right? This generational thinking behind how the investments is made, that it's not just one or two generations, it's 7 to 10?
Yes, at a minimum.
At a minimum.
Often we think the decisions being made are 40, 50 year.
So you're not going to see it in your lifetime maybe,
potentially,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it may mean sometimes that the decisions being made at the table we might not see in our lifetime, but I know that my mokopuna will.
I love that.
And absolutely, and I'm happy with that, versus a quick return, I get to, sit on all this money in my lifetime. That's not the kaupapa at all. 63%
of New Zealand businesses fail by year 5. 73% are gone by year 9. That's the 2 to 3 year model. That's the 2 to 3 year model.
Yeah.
So, look, I haven't done the comparison with Māori businesses. I don't even know if I could get the data right. But it would be great to do a comparison, right, to see how long are these businesses, are they sustaining historical stats that we've seen?
Yeah, that would be amazing to be able to compare some of that data. While profit is really important, when I look at a successful business in Te Ao Māori, it's those businesses that have a kaupapa Māori value system attached to it. And so being able to operate with kotahitanga, manaakitanga, kaitiakitanga, all those amazing things, strategy by storytelling, those are the businesses that I think are really quite exceptional. And while profit is extremely important, you need to have that too, but you could have multiple bottom lines and things that you can be checking off to really ensure the longevity of a business as well. And also asking for help in Te Ao Māori, it's not... being able to say, you might know your business really well, but being able to call on other specialists to come in and support, that's amazing too. And I think that all sort of ties into, those kaupapa Māori values of kotahitanga and being able to come in as one and support each other.
Yeah, agree. Getting advice at the right time is key to driving success. One of the other things I'd like to discuss with you is just around the way that the Māori businesses and iwis work across the country. Do you think that there's an opportunity for a more closely knit relationship to be able to share knowledge?
Yeah, I think every area is sort of at different stages. I think for me and Waikato Tainui, they do a beautiful job with their Puna Pākahi site that they have on their website, where if you are a registered Tainui member, you can advertise your business there. And quite often, if other whānau are looking for caterers or builders or plumbers or hairdressers or anything that they might need, they'll look at that Puna Pākahi list and see, hey, who's in my neighbourhood, who's in my rohe that might be able to help me with this. And again, it goes back to supporting local as well, which is really, really cool. So I do know a lot of other iwi do that too, which is really cool. And so, yeah, I think that's if we can, I suppose, collectively just come in and support each other too, then that helps Pākahi Māori, that helps Māori businesses too.
Can you describe some of the cool businesses that you've been involved with recently, maybe just sector focused? Or
Oh, absolutely. And that's part of, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things I love about my job is being able to go out and hear these amazing ideas. My absolute passion is working with wahine-led businesses and working in that SME space for me. I just absolutely thrive off that. But incredibly lucky and humble to have the role that I have, Te Kaiwhiringa Whairoa at ANZ, which allows me to go out and meet all different types of industries. ANZ have partnered with an amazing housing organisation, O Whatakohanga Rākau, to provide lending for whānau on whenua Māori, which was really exciting. I think it may have been printed in the Herald or on stuff, but something we're really proud of, to be able to partner with housing organisations to support whānau to live on their whenua. That was an opportunity for ANZ to come in and fund in conjunction with O Whatakohanga Rākau. And so far we've been able to write 4 loans of the 27 properties that are available, which is really exciting. So we are hearing a lot more of those conversations come up. I've got more meetings next week with other housing organisations that again want to build out these papakainga spaces for their whānau, which is really, really exciting.
that's so great, because it's so hard to get into your first home, right?
It
and
is.
if you don't have the support of mum and dad, then it can be really challenging. So having that support and that ability to do so, you guys are creating some really great opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when I look at the stats too, 53% of Māori own their own home versus 67% of non-Māori. And so ANZ's been incredible and brought in an amazing wahine Mākere Hearse, and ANZ Te Ao Māori principal researcher who's just wrote a paper recently in regards to the barriers of Māori home ownership. And some of the solutions, or I suppose some of the barriers that she found were really quite interesting, and they vary a lot. But I suppose it gives us an opportunity, along with the other banks, to just take a look at how we can better support Māori into home ownership.
So now a couple of fun questions. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Oh gosh, I would just that belief, like that belief that you can do it, would be, even if you are the minority in a space, or if there's people around you that say that you can't, like building that network of people around you to support you, and then just remembering that you are enough.
What's the most exciting business you've been a part of?
I was incredibly blessed to be able to go and visit Hokioi Limited, who are a production company in Aotearoa, who create amazing films and TV shows, being Ka Whawhai Tonu, which was released last year, and also Hunting Aotearoa, and a whole lot of other really cool films that we see on our TVs on a regular basis. And so just being able to walk through and hear the things that they're doing and the things that they're going to be doing was incredible.
Oh, that's amazing. How about any Māori businesses exporting on the global stage?
Absolutely. There's a lot exporting. Some have been a little bit more cautious due to tariffs and things like that, especially in our forestry space. There's that's, I suppose, an industry that our whānau are a little bit more cautious around and just sort of watching how that plays out. But then there's incredible things in the retail space, in the tea space, especially over in the UAE. Like, they just love our kawa tea and things like that. So that's been quite interesting to watch as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Look, we've got some amazing New Zealand Māori businesses. We should be really proud of it. So thank you so much for your time on the Fix and Fly podcast.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Kia ora.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you enjoy the Fix and Fly podcast, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, and share with anyone you think will find this useful. We look forward to seeing you next time.